Hey folks, Mike Shea here from slyflourish.com and twitter.com/slyflourish, here with another episode of Lazy D&D Prep, in which I prepare for my Sunday D&D game, in this case a Tomb of Annihilation game, while going through the steps of the Lazy Dungeon Master, the new return of the Lazy Dungeon Master. So, if you're in the chat, please say hello, and we can talk about anything related to D&D that we want while I go through the steps for preparing for my game today. So people have often asked, let's see, I have a bunch of stuff here on the side. Who made the overlay? Eric Vulgaris made this overlay. What text editor am I using? It is Markdown. And here is a link to the preview of Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master. By the way, all of these links, if you're on Twitch, all of these links are now in the channel. If you look down, there is a useful links section, and you can click on that to get to what you need to get to. Arkham Archivist is here. Hello, Arkham. Nice to see you. Thank you for coming. And people often ask for a little bit of a summary of what happened in last week's game. So our group right now is in Omu. This group has I'm running two separate games, two separate Tomb of Annihilation games, a Wednesday and a Sunday. Neogeta is here. Hello, Neogeta. Welcome. And my Sunday group is a little bit further ahead. In the last game, they ended having just killed Ross Nisi. By the way, this is full of Tomb of Annihilation spoilers. So if you are playing in Tomb of Annihilation, you probably want, unless you're past this part, and if you're down in the Tomb of the Nine Gods itself, for example, you may want to set this aside and watch it another time. By the way, if there's any audio issues or any other quality concerns, and you happen to be in chat, please let me know. I keep a monitor on the station itself, but sometimes I miss it. So the group just killed Ross Nisi in the Fane of the Night Serpent, and I talked last week about how it was a little disappointing because the main character who wanted to kill Ross Nisi wasn't there, and then at the very end, a character had a major moment. The character Ogechi met with Fenthaza, who is she is the nightmare speaker for the Yuan-Ti, and that she knew Ogechi and knew that he was the key to opening the door to the Night Serpent down in the land of ash and smoke. And she bowed to him, and it was like there was going to be a moment. And Mark Adi says, I get to watch today. I'm usually at work. I'm glad you are not at work. Welcome. So Fenthaza kneeled to him, and then the player, and there was going to be a moment in the next game. That was kind of the end conclusion, was, oh my God, this like high priestess of the Yuan-Ti is bowing to one of our characters. What's going on with that? And then Huitziline is a human. He is a human Omu, not Omuan, Chultan human, native to Chult. So then the player couldn't be there for like 3 weeks. So I was like, oh my God, what do we do with that? So I started the session last week with Fenthaza reaching out to him. And when they touched hands, she said, you can kill the rest, but I need him, and then teleported away. And everyone was like, wow. So that happened. And then a bunch of Yuan-Ti were there. And that was probably a little too downbeat, if we're talking about the Robin Laws upbeats and downbeats. Robin Laws, by the way, fantastic writer in the world of RPGs, fantastic RPG designer, and been around forever. You're talking about RPG stuff. He wrote a book called Hamlet's Hit Points, which is about pacing in stories and movies in particular, and how we apply that to role-playing games. And he talks about the importance of mixing upward and downward beats, that you should always sort of have like upbeats and downbeats and upbeats and downbeats. Good things happen to bad things, and good things and bad things and good things. And if you have too many bad things in a row, it starts to feel hopeless. And too many good things, and it feels like a money hall game. So you always want to mix them up. So I think I had too many downbeats because it was like they fought and killed Ross Nisi, and that was a big upbeat. And then Ogechi is teleported away, and that was a downbeat. And then they're fighting a bunch of Yuan-Ti again, and they were already felt like they just got their asses kicked. And now they're down a person. So that was a little tough, but they did that, and then they escaped. one of the characters turned into a plesiosaurus. Yeah, and they all jumped on the back of the plesiosaurus and headed out. But an interesting bit is this time I started to hint that the disease, the fungal disease that Punchy got from being bitten by the diseased Hydra was in fact has now sort of connected him to Zoggtmoy. So now Punchy is connected to Zoggtmoy. Zoggtmoy is one of the demon princes of fungus. She played a big part in Out of the Abyss. And he now gained new powers. He has 3 new abilities that he can do. He can do plant growth or grasping roots, grasping vine, which is a bonus action for him. He can do I don't know, a couple of other plant-like abilities that he can now do like once a day, as long as he stays connected to this. And Zoggtmoy now kind of speaks through him. And at one point, he was scouting for a place to rest, and he saw that it was filled with yellow musk creepers. And Zoggtmoy told him, bring your friends in so they can be more like you. And he's like, yeah, it's totally clear here. And then they went in and it was totally not clear, and they had to deal with a bunch of yellow musk creepers. And they're like, I'm not so sure I trust this guy anymore. So that's a little interesting. I don't want to overplay it. I don't want him to become like the evil antagonist. But definitely some of the players are like, they already know. Like, they're like, oh, why isn't he getting his disease cured? What's up with that? And by the way, why is Mike sending him all these secret notes all the time? So they know something's going on. But I don't want to make it too much. I just want to have it be sort of a side thing that Punchy is connected to Zoggtmoy. So that was fun. So they escaped from... Oh, and he also picked up an idol of Zoggtmoy that he's now carrying in his possession. I don't know what we're going to do with that, but Zoggtmoy now has an idol. I always love these sort of Cthulhuian, Lovecraftian idols, like old primal idols that have been around long before there were, conscious, long before anybody could construct such a thing. So that's a good time. So what else? So they escaped from the Fane of the Night Serpent. The Yuan-Ti are out looking for them. They might deal with them from time to time, but I think the Yuan-Ti are now going to take a back burner. They got the cube, so now they have... I think in their possession they have 2 cubes. I should be keeping track of which cubes they've picked up, but I'm terrible at this, so I'll have to sit with them and say, like, which cubes have we picked up? I have a map for them so they can actually mark, like, which ones are on the map. We'll probably do that. In the meantime, I've also been sending bits of flash fiction to Ogechi, to the player that plays Ogechi. And he and I have been going back and forth about meeting with Fanthaza. And the idea is she took him to the doors, the huge serpentine doors that block off the Night Serpent. And she said, like, you got to release the Night Serpent because he's the only thing that can keep Acererak's new, death child in check. And if you go down there and you're killed, and the child awakens and becomes the new god of death here on Faerun, it'll destroy the whole world. It'll destroy all of Toril. It'll suck everything out. Where the Night Serpent will certainly turn the sky to darkness, but he won't kill everybody. He needs people. So, which one of these 2 fates do you want? Do you want to be alive or do you want to be dead is essentially the answer. And so he said, I want to commune with the Yoshodo. And the Yoshodo said, she's not lying, but you're going to have to make this choice. And the Yoshodo kind of showed him the 2 ones and said, here's your 2 choices. And he said, well, I'm not going to open the doors now. And then she kind of narrowed her eyes. And he said, like, how about you help me defeat the Atropol? And she kind of looks at him with these eldrickly spinning eyes and then bows to him. So he's like, okay, well, that's better than getting attacked. So, and it turns out that they were in an abandoned building near, she had created the illusion of the doors. They weren't even at the doors. And so now he's in an abandoned building in Omu, so that when he returns next week, we'll have a good way to kind of connect him in. So the other thing that happened is they picked up one of the concubines of Ras Nisi, who appeared to be a Yuan-Ti pureblood. I forget its name. And turned out they, had a, I don't know. Oh, it's in the thing. I look it up here. So I got this open. It was a, what are they called? Not a simulacrum. Oh, I'm terrible at this. Names. What are the creatures that Doppelganger? Yeah, Ishmael. Ishmael is a doppelganger that works for the Red Wizards that was posing as a concubine for Rosnisi, and they rescued him. So now Ishmael is going with him and says, like, I know where some of the other cubes are, and I think it would be really in your best interest to go talk to the Red Wizards. They could help you. And they're like, sure. And then they went into, that's right, they went into one of the other shrines, and Punchy, the Kenku samurai who was connected to Zuggtmoy, he got turned to stone. They had messed up, and he got turned to stone. Which one of them was it here? Hang on. Where is there's a good map of the, there we go. This one, Obalaka. So they went to the Obalaka shrine and had screwed up, and Punchy got turned to stone. So Punchy's in stone, and then they're figuring out, they've figured out the puzzle, but Punchy was stone the whole time. And they're like, what are we going to do about Punchy? He's sitting here turned into a statue next to another Red Wizard statue. And Ishmael comes out, and he looks completely different. He's now a half-elf, and he's dressed in like decent armor and stuff. And they're like, we thought, what the hell? And he goes, I have friends who can help you with this. And just at that point, we remembered that Punchy had inspiration. So he then said, whoa, can I roll inspiration? I said, sure. So he rolled inspiration and succeeded. So he made his save after all. So I said he broke free from the, he had turned into a statue, but broke free. And now Ishmael like overplayed his hand, because he was like, now was the time to kind of convince them to see the Red Wizards, because one of their own turned to stone. But now he's not stone anymore. And now Ishmael is kind of off to the side. So it puts Ishmael in a bad spot, because he just revealed himself and as an agent to the Red Wizards, thinking that because Punchy was in such a dire strait, they would have to go with him, and now they don't have to. So that's an interesting turn of events. I always love it. Like this to me is sort of the root of what makes D&D cool, and that's you're sharing stories among 6 or 7 people. Pardon me while I wax philosophy for a moment. You're playing a game among somewhere between 5 and 7 people. You have all these imaginations. Everybody's kind of deep into the imaginative territory, hopefully, and everyone sort of has like the piece of like how the story's going to go and what's going to happen. And then on top of having all these sort of imaginations, all these different stories coming from that are, improving among all these people, you have this other character, which is the dice. And the dice, particularly the D20, makes such a big difference. And that's where you have this whole other, as they call it in data, in statistics, like this stochastic element, this one random element that's out there that can completely change the story as well. And it's like another player, right? The die is like another player, and the die just sort of flips the story back and forth. And that's what makes the whole thing so interesting. That's why these stories are so much fun, is because a really good die roll tells one kind of story. When I was running Rise of Tiamat, and one of the players rolled a 20 with his Vorpal sword against Tiamat, and he cut off one of Tiamat's heads. 5, luckily she has 5, but it was a mortal wound, and he just the blue head just went right off. And it's like he remembers that now, years later. He's like, oh man, remember that time I cut off one of Tiamat's heads with my Vorpal sword? And it was a 5% chance, but it worked, and it was really cool. So gotta love when the dice, thinking of the dice as like another player, and it's sort of this player that no one can control, and it sort of splits the story, sort of shifts the story perpendicularly or flips it completely around depending on how the die rolls go. I think that's to me, that's what makes D&D, that's why D&D is so much fun. And I think kind of knowing that, recognizes that you want the dice to matter, because it's so much fun telling that story, as long as you're, good at improv. So what else? So they're in Obalaka Shrine. That's where that's where the strong start. And I can't. Wow, my fingers are on the wrong keys. I'm just gonna copy and paste that name. Ishmael's bad spot. So that's where we're gonna start. I don't think we're gonna start with a fight, but it's still this tense situation, and maybe there's some invisible people around. I'm not sure. Maybe an invisible spy, right? Another one. Like Ishmael alerted the Red Wizards, who sent out maybe a spy or a scout. So I don't know how that's going to go, and I don't know what he's going to learn. I think a secret and clue is that the Red Wizards, so I guess there's no way around this. Whoops. Hang on a second. No, stop. Let's open this in a new tab. Oh, that's terrible. Open link in new tab. There we go. I guess that was the same thing. So, shrines. Which shrines... We need a couple of maps up here, actually. I need to figure out which shrines... Oh, I know why. It's because I maxed... which shrines have already been hit by the Yuan-Ti and the Red Wizards. And I think... So, and mostly it's like, which ones do I not like? And Kubazan's shrine, I think got... so let's see. I know I want 6, which I think is Moa's shrine. So Moa's shrine... No one can figure out how to get across the lava. Kubazan's shrine is number 3, which is down here. And I'm pretty sure Kubazan's shrine, the Red Wizards have already... I should put numbers next to these, just so I have a good way to identify. Moa's shrine is 6. So the key, one of the things that I've found when running Omu is that you want some of the cubes to be in the hands of the Red Wizards. You want some of the one or more cubes to be in the hands of the Yuan-Ti, and that way the players have to kind of work with the Yuan-Ti and the Red Wizards, whether they fight him or whether they make it a negotiation or however that works. And then... the majority of the shrines the players should do because they're fun. And so it makes sense that like the Red Wizards and the Yuan-Ti either have been fighting each other too much to be able to get into them, or so far haven't been able to. So 8 is which one? Unk's. So I think that Unk's shrine no one has gotten into yet. Shrone. The 19 is 19 a shrine? Yeah, so then Obalaka's shrine. So that's the one that, so the party just finished. And they have the cube from Papazotl's shrine. Then they also... I think they got Aijin. Where's 10? 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. So I think the Yuan-Ti got Aijin's. And Nang Nang's shrine. Where's Nang Nang's shrine? That is 18. Yeah, I think the... Well, let's see. So I think, no, I think the Red Wizards got Aijin's. And Uh, trying to pick the ones that are near the areas where they would be exploring. So like 18 makes sense. You know, that the Yuan-Ti picked that one up. The Yuan-Ti only had one cube. So that would mean the Red Wizards got Aijin, and they got, and Aijin is 10. Yeah, so they got this one. They got 3 and 10, right? And then the Yuan-Ti got 18, which leaves 8 and 19, and 6, 8, 19, 16, and so Shigambis, which is Shigambis? That's 4. So that one, maybe the Red Wizards picked up that one too. Let's take a look. I don't know, Shigambis. That looks kind of interesting. How about the Red Wizards are currently going after that one? I think they already discovered that secret. So, Moa's Shrine, is that one then? Yeah, Moa's Shrine is the one that's on 6. That one looks interesting. Okay, so going through the shrines. This is kind of a pain. Like, there's so many of them, 9 of them, right? It's kind of a pain. Kubazan's Shrine, the Red Wizards took, and they have the item from there. Shigambi's, they're going after next. That's actually not... They were probably going after this one when they were attacked by the Yuan-Ti. So it might be a battleground. Shigambi's might end up being a battleground, but they might be coming back for it. I'll have to read about Shigambi's. That's one I don't really know. Moa's Shrine is hidden by, or is protected by lava. No one's really been able to figure it out. So these 2 are still open. Unk's Shrine also has not been yet disturbed. Aijin's Shrine was picked up by the Red Wizards. They managed to get through this one. They got the cube. Wango's Shrine. Did they already do this one? No, my other group did that one, but I don't think this group has yet. Where's 12? Oh, that's... Yeah, Wango's Shrine has not yet been. So one thing is, like, you know, the more boring it gets dealing with the shrines, the more you can just have the shrines get picked up by Red Wizards, and then when they deal with the Red Wizards are like, here's 4 cubes, you jackasses. And that way they can move on. So I ran Wango's Shrine with my other group, and that was a good time. Papazotls, they've done. Nang Nangs, we determined... where's Nang Nangs on this list? Kubazan, Unk, Obalaka. The Yuan-Ti got this one. Obalaka, they just finished. So that's the current state of the shrines. And really the goal, like, you know, we're starting to close. I mean, we're not closing in the end. If anybody in chat, has anybody run through Tomb of Annihilation? And if so, how many hours, roughly, if you want to divide your sessions by the number of hours per session, did it take to get through... how many hours does it take to get through the Tomb of the Nine Gods? The Tomb of the Nine Gods, because it seems real big. And holy cow, like, neither group has actually gotten there yet. So it might be like freaking winter before I'm done, which I guess is fine. But I'm also kind of eager to start the next thing too. I don't know. I have a tendency of running a few months behind. I mean, like, I play a lot of D&D, but I guess, like, one thing is I really let the players kind of go wherever they wanted in this one. And we spent a lot of time wandering around. We spent a lot of time wandering around Chult, which, well, I thought was fun. I don't think everyone had a good time. Nobody said, I'd sure like to get moving. So that was all good. But I think all the secrets and clues this time are really going to be about getting the cubes and getting into the Tomb of the Nine Gods. I don't think we need a whole lot of other you know, a whole lot of other secrets. I guess one question is, now we have another player that sort of flew in from left field. I didn't really expect to bring Zoggtmoy in. But now Zoggtmoy's a player in this. So what does Zoggtmoy want in all of this? What is Zoggtmoy's hope? Does Zoggtmoy want to do something with the, you know, it probably doesn't like the soul grinder or the soulmonger at all. So maybe one of the secrets is Zoggtmoy. Maybe it wants to sort of turn it into a engine for fungus. So the soulmonger brings in souls. It really doesn't have anything to do with physical bodies. But maybe it wants to sort of like plant a seed. It wants to plant a seed. There's so much life here. It just wants to expand out so that, like, plant the fungus in the middle of here. Well, and what's the seed? The seed is the idol. And where? Probably right under the heart, right? So if we go back to our big map, I need another big map, apparently. It probably wants him to go back out. This might be like a long-term quest. Probably right under the heart of Ubtao, right? That's the perfect place. So go back under the heart of Ubtao and plant the seed right there. Bury it. And then the fungus will grow and it will eat all that beautiful undead stuff and it will slowly turn Chult into a giant kingdom of the Zoggtmoy. I like that idea. Potential secret. The actual villain isn't Acererak, but the guy with the Twitch handle Sly Flourish, forcing you to use Sly_Flourish. Yeah, that was annoying. There is another person that's using Sly Flourish for some video game stuff. And me being an idiot, I took mshay01, so I turned it to Sly_Flourish, and it's good enough. I'll live. That's because I'm old and slow. And I didn't grab the user handle as fast as I should have. Didn't make any sense. Probably also screwed up my D&D Beyond thing, since that authenticates through Twitch. If I have to re-authenticate, it's going to be weird. I got a lot of secrets already. Sometimes the secrets just show up, and today was secret day based on what shrines need to be done with what. And they'll learn all this stuff because they can talk to the Red Wizard. So I guess one big question is, what do the Red Wizards want? And the big thing is, like... So the soulmonger itself, go back to, if we go and actually look at the section on the Tomb of the Nine Gods, Cradle of the Death God, Sewn Sisters, look at those, so garish. That door looks bad. Trial of the Triangle. The Death God's Nursery. Look at that picture. Isn't that awful? Ugh. Awful. Yucky. The soulmonger is an upright crystal cylinder 20 feet high and 10 feet. Animite 10 struts. Intense aura of necrotic magic, I bet. Huge object. Beginning 3. So it's a big crystal. There's got to be a liquid in there, right? Yeah, so I think like one of the deals is going to be a Geas, right? Magical command. Forcing an action the creature can understand. You must succeed in wisdom saving or become charmed. Levels remove curse. It's only third. Yeah, so I think maybe a Geas that can only be pulled off with like maybe Greater Restoration, which is 5th. So I think Valindra will put a character under a Geas spell, or they'll volunteer for it. Like, we'll give you the cubes, we'll get you into the tomb, you go down there and stop it and bring us back liquid that's inside the soulmonger. We want, here's a vial, put it in this vial and bring it back. And if you fail to do so, you will be a true enemy of the Red Wizards and you'll suffer the consequences of the Geas spell. So that's their price, the price for the cubes. You want to go in there? Yeah, it isn't as powerful. I think Valindra's Geas will be different than what's here. I think I might take a wish. I don't know, maybe Greater Restoration, but maybe there's a Greater Restoration with a chance to fail. Hey, Tilda DeWilda, welcome. And Navy DM, welcome to you. Always good to see you. So what scenes? I'm not really going to worry about scenes today. One of the tricks of the 8 steps of the Lazy Dungeon Master, which I failed to go through, maybe we'll go through it here in a minute, is sometimes I don't need steps. So I'm going to keep it here, but I'm not going to bother to fill it in. And Fantastic Locations, I'm also going to fill in because the shrines. But scenes are Ishmael. Monsters, I have no idea, but probably some Red Wizard, maybe Red Wizard guys. Mages, thugs, gladiators, spies. Those are your typical Red Wizards. Magic items, whatever's in the book. Got a cough. I'm on the tail end of a cold, if you can't tell. And I feel fine, but I've got Schmeck in my throat. No one wants to hear about the Schmeck. I don't know why I bring it up. I bring it up because every so often I have to mute the microphone and cough. So yeah, as we have in previous episodes, let's take a look. You guys are probably, for those of you who have been watching the previous videos, you might be getting bored of this. But I always just want to quick rip through the steps of the new Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master. What we have over here on the left is the current draft. It's proof 2 of the layout. Proof 3 should be on the way soon, and I'm hoping that proof 3 will be the final proof. That's a big hope. There's usually 1 or 2 small tweaks. There were a bunch of minor tweaks that we had, but I'm real happy with how it looks and where it's turning out. So, the Lazy Dungeon Master checklist. The first thing we do is review the characters. You know, we didn't even do that. So let's talk about our characters. We have Smoke, the Tabaxi Ranger. I really need to do more with Smoke. So, got to connect something to, you know. Maybe Smoke. Maybe Smoke knows Bag of Nails and Hooded Lantern and who's the other? There's another Tabaxi. That would be fun, that they all kind of know each other. Why wouldn't the Tabaxi all know each other? Hey, Paladin Hulk, it is going well. How is it going with you? Dwellers in the Forbidden City. Copperbell. Maybe they were all part of some gang. Gabriel Tharmond died and has a different soul and maybe feels the soul swirling in the soulmonger. That might be a fun scene. Right? Dreams of the soul swirling. Maybe sees the... Let's look at the Sohn sisters. Baggy Nana. Yeah, they look a lot like the three hags from The Witcher 3. I thought about that. Man, those hags in The Witcher 3 were awful. Baggy Nana's a pretty great name. Peggy Deadbells is pretty good too. Oh, fun. Oh, man. So what if the clone inside the prisoner is Gabriel? That might be fun. This whole thing that there's a clone of one of the characters inside here. Pretty great. Punk band name, Peggy Deadbells. That's a pretty great punk band name. So I think we'll do a dream sequence with that. I love dream sequences. Are a great way to show the players things that the characters might not see for some time, and it's great for foreshadowing. It's super easy for foreshadowing. It's one of those like heavy narrative things that you can do. My stupid microphone stand is falling off. My whole mic is going to just collapse in the middle of this. It's some fun. There's some fun stuff there. I need to read up on this section. My kingdom for a thumbs up emoji on Twitch. Yeah, I agree. So review the characters. Wow, I only got to the second one. So Punchy, we had talked about. Smoke knows the 3. I think that'll be interesting. Warren, the gnome druid who wants to be a big beast. So Warren's player, Brian, it's his birthday tomorrow. So I'm gonna go pick up donuts on the way in, so we can have have a little bit of fun. I'd like to kind of have his character. I don't know. It'd be kind of fun to put for his birthday, kind of have his character sort of front and center for something. He's the druid that loves to transform into the biggest beast that he can. Maybe enhance his wild shape or something like that. That, something happens. I don't know. I'll think about that. Ogechi won't be there. Huit Zeline, who wants to smite a false god. So he's the one that wanted to kill Rosnisi and didn't. So that's sad. I don't really know how to make that up. I don't know how to fix that. So review the characters, create a strong start. We talked about that. Outline potential scenes. We talked about that. Define secrets and clues. We picked a whole bunch of these things out. What are the things that the characters can discover as they go through? Develop fantastic locations. When we are running a published adventure, hopefully those are taken care of for us. Outline important NPCs. What NPCs are going to show up. So right now it's mostly the Doppelganger spy. Choose relevant monsters. A lot of them are random or in the book, so I don't tend to worry about that too much. Select magic item rewards. They already are well equipped, so I'm not really worrying about magic items for the time being. So those are the 8 steps. So they've seen some big beasties. The problem is that his paladin or his druid level is such that he can only turn into stuff that's of a challenge rating like 2. He can't turn into a CR3 yet. So he does have polymorph, and he loves to he did turn other people into T-Rexes. So that's pretty cool. But he's learned that it's better to have someone else as a T-Rex than him. Yeah, so was there any other kind of interesting creature that he could turn into? Giant ape is always great. People love the polymorph in the giant apes. A magical item of polymorph. So, like an interesting sort of druid, maybe some kind of druid thing that sort of ups his CR by one thing, but it could be exploited then. Then he's going to want to turn into like Tyrannosaurus every round or something. So I don't know that I want to do something like that. Yeah, an ability to enlarge himself. That might be kind of cool. I don't know. I'll have to think about that. What else? So yeah, this some days it's pretty quick. As you guys saw, kind of whipping through this to prep for the game was not hard. I'm gonna mail this to myself while I'm thinking about it. And then a big question that that's always important is, do I feel comfortable running the game? And the answer is yeah. Yeah, I feel good. I'm more worried about getting donuts than I am about running the game. So we've got about 15 minutes. What other interesting things are going on in the world of D&D these days? Lots of stuff going on with the Adventurers League. A lot of drama there that I've been kind of watching. I'm not a big Adventurers League player. So, I'm kind of like, we'll see how it plays out. I do think that, there's the arguments are not without merit. Some of the complaints are not without merit. The point system for acquiring magic items is a little abstract from the story. And, the gold, only earning gold as you level is also, I would say, a little too abstract because when you think about the main motivation for adventurers to go on adventures is to earn gold, and it's like, well, you don't actually earn gold, you just sort of get it as you level. That kind of is an abstract system. Yeah, Navy DM says the gold kills me, but I like most of the changes. Yeah, I think going to the point system for leveling is a no-brainer, and I don't know very many people that are bothered by that at all. And I actually, not, not that my opinion matters at all. And frankly, I think what they did is they sat down and they came up with the rules that are in Xanathar's guide, and they're trying to make them as close to that as they can. So my opinion doesn't matter. But I did like the 4th edition style where like you unlocked, when an item dropped in an adventure, anybody could take it, but you were only allowed to take it like once every level or something like that. And I think doing the same thing but tier based, that essentially like you could only pick up one permanent magic item per tier. And it was up to you to decide to pick it up or not. And I wouldn't even be so, I mean, to me, it's way harsher than the point system, but it gets away from the abstract point system of saying like, when an item drops, you have to pick if you want it or not. And if you want it, then that's your item for the tier, and you can't pick anything else for that tier. And that way you get 4 permanent magic items, and maybe some stuff counts and some stuff don't. I don't know how you work that out. Admins have said that the gold is a WotC push due to the experience of Gen Con of having tier 3 and 4 characters having portable holes full of thousands of health potions. Yeah. That's interesting. I wonder if that was was that specifically it? I think that's, yeah, I think that's interesting. Now, Navy DM, didn't you do a study of what gold looked like before and what it looked like now? And didn't your one before also show that the gold was still less? Or was that less before, like, yeah, was it, has the amount of gold in Adventurers League, like it looks like Adventurers League overall got a lot less gold than like a home group did, right? Yeah, the DMG gold levels are massive. Yeah, you said it was like 10 times greater. So was there not that big a difference in gold? Can you link your article? You happen to have that handy? Could you link that in the Twitch chat? I'm getting text messages. Who's texting me? My friend and I are arguing about Harry Potter. Because I thought if I read your article right, that the amount of gold hasn't really changed that much. Between the portable jacuzzi of healing. So I wonder, oh, you said, okay, so it's a big drop. So between Adventurers League previous and the new rules overall, I get it. So it's small proportionally, but maybe it's still half. I mean, what I think is interesting about it is WotC admitting that the amount of gold that is dropped in the Dungeon Master's Guide way too much. Here we go. Thank you, sir. Bar charts, man. I love me some bar charts. Pie charts can eat one, but I love bar charts. The DMG well, remember the DMG, it's not that it, well, I don't know, maybe you have a specific instance where it does. What I read in the DMG, like the DMG's loose about it. The DMG's like, look, gold's going to come how it comes, and you roll, and like we generally expect this many, but maybe not. Page 36, I believe, because rough numbers for magic items and gold starting out. Oh yeah, so it says like this is how much you should have, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's how much you would earn if you had been at that level, right? It's sort of, I don't think they intended for those to be the same. So, I mean, one thing about 5th edition, right, is it's loose. It's loose across the board. It's loose with all of its rules. They didn't want to put rules in place saying things like this is how many magic items you get every level. And they didn't want to say this is how much gold shows up. They were very particular about leaving it wide open. That's why so much is random, like how many, treasure hoards you might roll against. And I also think that early on, they believed that a lot of gold would go towards other things like, buying a keep. Again, my super high level group, my high level group that played through Rise of Tiamat poured money. I actually made it. I poured money and the engine into their flying castle, right? They got the Cloud Giant castle, but the castle needed to eat magic items in order to keep its power going. So it was like, they would throw these old magic items in and they would break apart and power this thing. And they also had to pay for an entire crew. They had like 60, 70 people. Yeah. So what I wonder is like, if there weren't enough gold sinks, like, you know, go buy a boat. But like, how do you, you know, what do you do when you're playing Adventurers League and the guy's like, oh, by the way, I have a ship with 50 people on it that work for me, so I'm just going to go hang out with them. You know, it's a little, I think it's one of the differences between a home game and an AL game is if you did give people like this tremendous amount of money in an AL game, they're like, oh, I leave my, you know, I don't need to have a lifestyle in town. I have a castle, you know. AL presents a lot of unique challenges. Yeah, you're right. And this is my point. Like, I really don't know. I think that there are good arguments to be made. I do think that abstracting magic items in gold too much kind of hurts the motivation of adventuring. I think that lowering the gold is not such a bad idea. And when people are like, oh, well, clerics are getting shafted because now they can't cast Hero's Feast over and over again. Oh my God, Hero's Feast is so broken anyway. Like, you know, you shouldn't be able to cast it every day. Like, I put that rule in place as soon as I saw it. You know, like one of my players is like, oh, just keep in mind, I'm going to always be casting Hero's Feast. I'm like, it costs $1,000. He goes, 1,000 gold. He's like, well, when did we ever worry about gold? I'm like, not only that, but those bowls are not easy to come by because not a lot of people make 1,000 gold piece bowls. In fact, there's only one guy in a mountain who makes them. He's like an artisan and he's dying and he only has 2. You know, so like, oh man. So I'm like, keep a hold of those bowls. You know, I think I had a ghoul that was wearing a bowl as a hat and there's like, oh my God, that guy's got a, you know, he's got a bowl, jeweled bowl. Yeah, but the immersion breaking of separating gold, I think is a big deal. Like the idea that like you go to your quest NPC and he says like, how would you like to go into this dark village and help rescue our people? And you're like, how much? And he's like, you will get your level allotment of gold. Yeah, I don't know how that's going to play. Yeah, gold. Our Arkham Archivist asks whether or not gold was sort of a literal experience point, you know. Paladin Hulk says, I glue diamonds onto my bowl. Yeah, I'm like, oh, that doesn't work. It's got to be particular. It is a particular 1,000 gold piece bowl. It's a very special bowl, only made by handcrafted artisans out in the spine of the world. I wrote a whole article about the old man in the bowl. What other things have been going on in the world of D&D? I'm watching Mike Merles' game. He ran a game that's on YouTube now for a bunch of people, Luke Gygax and Joe Manganiello and a bunch of other folks. My wife and I are watching that. That's kind of fun. High level, 18th level game. So it'll be fun. It's a 3-hour 18th level game, so that'd be fun to watch. Apparently this is the one where Joe Manganiello does 300 points of damage in one round. So I want to see that. I have a little sly flourishy thing. I had a huge backlog. I write probably 500 words a day of D&D stuff just for fun. You know, when I come home from work, I'll write half an article or sometimes a full article. So what ends up happening is I'm writing way more articles than I'm publishing. I publish an article every Monday, but I actually write probably two articles a week. So my backlog was getting big, and it's healthy because it means that I can go in and kind of decide, okay, which is the article that I think is worth publishing this week. But sometimes I'm not even sure my own judgment is that good when it comes to deciding what a good article is. So I happened to be watching Matt Colville, who talked about the fact that he uses a website to get ideas for his shows. And I went to that website, and it turns out it's a really great way to kind of get people's. If I'm looking for the link here, I'll post it in the notes. Here it is. Copy link. Does that work? Yeah. So it's a way that you can vote on which articles you are most interested in seeing on Sly Flourish. For example, Managing Mysteries and Plot Twists got 90 votes out of, I forget how many votes here. Hang on, I can figure out how many votes. Out of I don't know how many votes. Got a 1355 views. That's not votes. I don't know how I can see how many votes it got. Oh, I know why. It's because I'm not logged in. Oh, well, whatever. So that one got 90 votes. So that I said, okay, well, that's Monday's article then. I'm going to go for that. Running Hags was got the next highest with 41 votes. Interesting power series on Who Wants to See What. And then way at the bottom of the list, Story Over Mechanics got 7 votes. Some of these I added later, so they didn't necessarily get so they didn't get as many votes because they weren't on the list when I first published this. But I'm going to spam this out to Twitter probably once a week and say, hey, vote for which articles you want to see. And then every time I write a new article, I will add it to this list and then kind of mention, hey, a new article is added. Let me know if you're interested in seeing it or not. And I think that's a good way to kind of judge the content that I'll putting out on Sly Flourish. I won't always stick to it. Sometimes I'll be like, no, I'm going to go ahead and publish these other ones. For example, I've been republishing, the D&D Beyond folks gave me the permission to republish the stuff that I wrote for them on my site. So every few weeks I've been kind of reposting those 6 articles until all 6 are out there. And that way I can kind of say, like, here's Sly Flourish's set of articles for new dungeon masters, specific 6 articles for people running new, 6 articles tuned for new D&D Dungeon Masters. Someday running Phandelver, that is, in my opinion, one of the best D&D adventures out there. I agree. I love Lost Mine of Phandelver, and certainly one of the best products they've ever done. Yeah, it's actually kind of great that and that's the number 4, running Phandelver. And I'll give you guys a secret hint. It's already updated. Like, I already updated that article. I just didn't change the date. So if you go to the article running Phandelver, it's updated already, but sometimes I just like to repost it so that people can see it again. I actually had an article called Tying Phandelver to the Published Adventures. And the whole idea was like how you could run Phandelver and then move on to one of the other hardback adventures. And I wrote probably 1,000 words and I realized, like, it's not a good idea. Like, Phandelver, because it goes to 5th level, can you tie it to the other ones? You can, but not well, not easily. And I thought it was better to just start over again with new characters. Navy DM says your home group went from Phandelver to Horde of the Dragon Queen to Storm King's Thunder. Yeah, I mean, you can. But I think instead of me kind of saying, like, here's how to do it, it's kind of better to let the home group figure it out. But I just found that, like, you miss a lot of content, right? Like, I was thinking, like, some of my favorite parts of Ravenloft, for example, is Death House, and you can't run Death House if you're 5th level. Like, it's not nearly as interesting. And what's the starting town in Storm King's Thunder is one of my favorite parts. The standing stone place, what's the Blackstone, Nightstone, the Nightstone, right? The night, that's kind of fun to do Nightstone. And actually, I think that's one of the stronger parts of the adventure, because then it gets off into that weird ass, well, go to one of the towns and maybe something happens there part. I didn't find, like, as I was doing, like, a couple of them fit pretty well, but then, like, even and Navy DM, it sounds like you actually ran Phandelver to Horde of the Dragon Queen. Like, I could see basically you run Phandelver and then you go to Waterdeep and kind of pick up the trail in Waterdeep. And sort of skip the whole intro. But that's a lot of stuff to miss, right? That's like half that adventure is set early on with the whole valley and the cult and all the different groups that are working together and the attack on Greenest. It's a lot of stuff to miss. And I think, like, if you're paying $30 to $50 for an adventure, you kind of want to, group started Storm King's Thunder at level 7. It's been surprisingly okay. I'm sure it can run that way. And I'm sure you can. But so Arkham Archivist says the lower stuff can always be buffed. Yeah, and actually, so you can kind of, it gets a little convoluted, because it's like, well, do all your cultists, like, how many like level, CR 5 cultists will attack a village? Like, there aren't that many. And the other thing is, you don't want to level them. Then all of a sudden their leveling goes way down, because you eventually want them to catch up with the level of the adventure, but that means they're going to play a lot of the adventure and not level. And that could get real boring too. So yeah, so my thought, the main conclusion I came to in this article was, my recommendation was to start over again, like, go ahead and reset. And that way you can kind of enjoy the low level game again. And, Horde of the Dragon Queen is so, yeah, Tilda de Wilda. So the interesting thing is, you do have to tweak that one a lot. Tilda de Wilda says that you have to tweak Horde of the Dragon Queen. And the reason why is that Kobold Press, who actually wrote the adventure, were using the playtest rules to design it, and then the rules all changed. Yeah, Horde of the Dragon Queen took a ton of work because it was written prior to the rules being finalized. So a lot of the challenge ratings on things like vampires and there's a lot of weird stuff in that. I think they had like, I can't remember if it was assassins or something, where they basically like threw they threw like 4 guys at the group, and it turned out the 4 guys were like they went from CR 1/2 to CR 5 or something. It was crazy leap. So yeah, it definitely, the Horde of the Dragon Queen, it's a fun adventure and it's got a lot in it. And it's definitely playable, and a lot of people do. My article about Horde of the Dragon Queen still gets lots and lots of hits. But it's one of the ones that needs the most work. Tilda de Wilda says that it's frustrating to have to tweak it. Yeah, I could see that. I think the more experience we get, the more we can sort of eyeball things. There was a lot of fun, though. I really, I don't know I hope your group feels the same way, but like my group, we ran through Horde and Rise, and I ended up home brewing a lot of it. I changed a whole lot of stuff I didn't like. And, there was a lot of great story in that. And it was probably, I mean, I've enjoyed all of our campaigns. I'm thinking about my Wednesday group where we've been through all these things. And, I've really enjoyed all of them. Are very memorable to me. I remember, Curse of Strahd, we had a great one there. Our Storm King's Thunder one, we had a great time there. And the Horde of the Dragon Queen one was fun. So we've had a lot of fun with all of them. Well, we have hit 11 o'clock. It's been about an hour. As you saw, the game prep part of this went pretty quickly, but I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you guys all get some good gaming in. I want to thank all the great folks in the Twitch channel for the wonderful conversation today. Thank you for that. And I want to thank everybody that watches on YouTube, and I hope you all get some great gaming in. So everybody have a wonderful day.